Police, excuse me. Julia?
The victim suffered serious damage to the right side of her body.
The blast appears to have originated here. She may have even walked over it.
Perhaps she triggered it.
Perhaps.
Why would someone set an explosive device here?
Detective Μέρντοχ. Dr. Ogden, may I look at that victim?
I'll need to clean her up, Detective, before we can hope to identify...
No, wait.
Detective.
It's her. This is the woman I've been looking for. This is Muriel Bruce. Muriel Bruce disappeared without a trace 2 years ago. 1 year later, she was seen with a Lynn Clark on a streetcar just before Miss Clark's disappearance. Then, in May of this year, she was seen at St. Stephen in the Fields with a Miss Natalie Sykes.
And Miss Sykes was never seen again, I imagine.
And you believe this Muriel Bruce's death to have something to do with these missing women?
It has to.
Well, perhaps she was just in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Don't say that. This is the best lead I've had in months.
Do you know where to find the victim's husband?
I know where to look.
Cause of death was mass organ failure due to percussive force. She has several broken bones and significant burns to her body on the right side.
We extracted glass and metal shards from her body, as well as fragments of leather, perhaps from a suitcase. I believe she may have been carrying the bomb.
Carrying it herself. How did that come to pass?
So did Muriel Bruce know what was inside her suitcase?
Well, given the circumstances, I don't believe she did.
She was wearing a ring on her wedding finger.
Yes, it has an inscription. Aphrodite, the Greek goddess of love?
Muriel had a book on Greek myths. She was obsessed with the goddesses.
Perhaps she had the ring made for herself. If we can find the jeweler, then we may find her address.
Hello, Mr. Desmond.
Sirs, I found the jeweler. The ring is one of a series. Each one is engraved with the name of a different Greek goddess. It's a standing commission.
For Muriel Bruce?
He doesn't know who ordered them, only to send the rings to the old Greenwood estate.
The Greenwood estate in Rosedale.
Yes, sir. I was surprised, too. I had thought it empty ever since Lady Greenwood passed away.
Hello? Toronto Constabulary.
Artemis? Okay, come on, everybody, into the house. Let's go.
Well, this is odd.
You do lack subtlety.
Okay, come on.
What are you doing here? How did you get past the gate?
It was open. Detective Μέρντοχ, Detective Gουάτς, Toronto Constabulary.
We're here to inquire after a Mrs. Muriel Bruce.
No one named Muriel lives here.
What about Aphrodite?
Follow me.
And you are? Again, who are you?
Artemis,
The goddess of the hunt.
and protector of women.
You mean all these women that seem to be afraid of our presence?
You are invading our sanctuary. This place is free of the unwelcome influence of the male sex.
Ah, your modern Amazons, the warrior women who lived without men.
Precisely. Strong and independent.
You do know the ancient Greeks are the founders of our modern patriarchy, even. Aristotle thought of women as little more than deformed men.
We women are well aware of how men across history have deformed our lives.
You say I lack subtlety?
Athena, we have interlopers. The police.
Good day.
Larissa?
You know each other?
Llewellyn.
Detective Μέρντοχ, this is my sister. I haven't seen her in 15 years. Clarissa.
I go by Athena now. Goddess of wisdom. Although I don't feel very wise in this moment.
The last time I saw you, you were leaving for work at the laundry. But you didn't go to work that day, and you never came back.
I suppose it's time I told you that I got involved with a man after our parents died.
I didn't know. Who was he?
Hector Coleman.
He mistreated you?
He forced me to leave you. I can't imagine what he would have done to both of us if I hadn't. I knew the landlady would take care of you. She did, didn't she?
Mrs. Young was kind enough. But how did you end up here?
Lady Greenwood was looking for a companion. I ran away from Hector and I traveled the world with her. And when she died 5 years ago, she left me everything. Hector had already died, so it was safe to come back.
You've been living here for 5 years and you haven't looked for me?
Mrs. Young had died. I didn't know where to start. And then I met Artemis and I found my purpose.
Athena, the other man, he's frightening everyone. I don't know what to do.
Detective Murdoch, I must insist that you leave the premises immediately.
Miss Athena, I am simply trying to speak with some of your tenants.
He said that Aphrodite is dead.
Is this true?
I'm afraid so. She was killed in an explosion earlier today.
Oh, my dear Lord.
How?
Artemis, take everyone inside.
Come on, ladies. Let's get inside.
Are you certain it's her?
Do you have any idea where Muriel Bruce was going today?
Not specifically. Muriel went out every day to find women in need.
Do you happen to know if any of the women here had a problem with Muriel Bruce?
Muriel was the reason most of the women were here. Whoever did this to her is not among us.
I'll need to speak with all of them nevertheless.
You are the first man to cross the gate in years. And as you've already experienced, Detective, they will not speak with you, and I cannot force them to.
I will, however, pray you find the evildoer responsible.
I would like to see you again.
I've promised these women a world without man. I can hardly make an exception for myself. Goodbye, Llewellyn.
Detective Watts, is it true? You found your sister?
Yes.
Was your reunion unsatisfactory?
I know the truth, Jackson. That's all I've ever hoped for.
Forgive me, sir, but you seem more disturbed than ever.
She told me of a man who caused all this. A man named Hector Coleman.
I will find him straight away.
No need. He's dead. Years ago. How could I have been so unaware? My sister was in distress and I suspected nothing.
You were only 12 years old.
Age is no excuse for inattention.
But, sir, you found her. Your sister's alive.
Yes. So I'm at peace.
I believe these pieces of metal to be the remnants of an alarm clock, with the exception of this monogram plate. Now, the only discernible initial is the letter B.
I have to get back into that house.
Detective Watts, perhaps you should recuse yourself.
Muriel Bruce was seen with 2 women just before they disappeared. Those 2 women are in that house.
You may be right. However,
We'll get a judge's warrant.
that may do your investigation more harm than good.
We need a man on the inside.
You mean a woman?
And I believe that can be arranged.
Hello. I'm Freddie Pink. A woman named Muriel told me about this place.
Come in.
I met Muriel last week at a church, St. Stephen in the Fields.
I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but Muriel has died.
Oh no. She was very kind to me at a time when I hadn't a friend in the world.
That was her way.
I suppose I ought to explain. I was forced to deal with an abusive husband in a less than lawful way. I had no choice.
We all have a reason for being here. If Muriel invited you, you may consider yourself home.
She said there were no men, ever.
When you remove the inherent struggle of a woman in an unfriendly world, she is different. She is whole. We all share the chores here. Some of us like to cook, others would rather dust. Perhaps you'll join the soap makers.
You make soap?
Lovely soap. The great debate is whether to sell it on the outside.
I wouldn't want to go back out there.
No, you won't have to. In truth, none of us ever leave. We find great relief in staying within the gates.
A society of women living within a matriarchal structure. It's fascinating, to say the least.
And Detective Watts' sister is the founder.
That must have been quite a shock.
I don't know. He seems to be preoccupied with his original cases.
A man who avoids his feelings by occupying himself with work. I should think you two have found common ground at last. Inspector, detective, shall we begin?
Very good, Doctor.
We've been able to remove most of her clothing after rehydrating her skin and some excellent extraction work by Miss James.
We discovered an imprint in her skin in the shape of the letter N. Well, the mirror image of one.
I wonder.
An N on the body and a B on the plate. Norman Bruce's suitcase.
Perhaps Mr. Bruce found his wife. He arranged to meet with her, claiming only that he wanted to return her belongings.
But instead of all her doings and what have yous, he put the explosives into his suitcase, set the timer, and watched her walk away. Watts, get a photograph. Have the constables distributed all around the city. Norman Bruce is our prime suspect, Murdoch. I want him found. Carry on.
Yes, sir.
Miss James, could I have a word?
What can I help you with, Inspector?
I'm afraid I feel compelled to tell you something, Miss James. I'm very sorry, but I saw your young man with another woman.
Nate, there must be an innocent explanation. When was this?
Yesterday.
You must have seen him at work then, Inspector.
Does he work at the Queen's Hotel?
You mean to tell me that instead of working, he was at a fancy hotel cavorting with another woman?
Miss James, please calm yourself.
Now I feel compelled to give that liar a piece of my mind.
I was meant to be married, but when my fiancé found out that my mother was Algonquin and not my father's wife,
He suddenly changed his mind.
I became an unmarriageable burden. So when the fire happened, I up and disappeared.
And that was when you met Muriel.
Yes, at St. Stephen in the Field, same as you. So this is your room. It was Aphrodite's. Muriel's, our beautiful angel of mercy.
Oh, famous. I can come back.
No, Artemis, stay. We can help you clear your cousin's things.
Muriel was your cousin.
My condolences.
Thank you.
She told me a little about you. You once worked in a pub, didn't you? Artemis didn't just work in a pub. She turned her father's pub into a neighborhood institution. And then when her father died without a will...
Famous.
Artemis, you were wronged. It's not fair that your brother should inherit everything just because he's a boy.
I see. The Rosie May, named after my mother. I can still picture the sign. But now that's in the past. Excuse me.
Hello, I'm Freddie. Demeter, welcome.
Did I do something?
Demeter just likes to keep to herself. She's very smart. She left her family because they wouldn't let her continue her studies.
Surely her room isn't in the cellar.
Oh, no, of course not. It's just that no one other than Demeter goes down there.
Demeter likes her solitude. We've all come to respect that.
Gentlemen, Muriel Bruce was well loved and universally mourned. Not even her cousin Artemis knows what happened.
Artemis is Muriel Bruce's cousin? Are you sure?
It's confirmed by details that Detective Watts gave me.
What about the women? Have you identified them?
Some names, mostly just clues from their past lives. Maybe you should ask first.
May I please have the paper?
Not me. No, the women. If this were my case, I'd think twice before exposing them to people they'd intentionally left.
Oh, good thing this isn't your case.
Yes, hello. I'm waiting on the clerk to check on a Hector Coleman. He died over 5 years ago. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Jackson, updates on Norman Bruce?
Sir, there's no sightings of Mr. Bruce at the train stations or the cab companies. But the lads are on it, sir. If he's in the city, we'll find him.
Carry on.
Sir.
Right then, Watts. How goes it with our lady policeman?
Yeah, she lacks objectivity. Just from looking at this list, I can close 6 files, 2 more I don't even recognize. Likely never reported. I'll start the calls right away.
Wait until the Bruce murder is solved.
Their families have waited long enough.
Those women are not going anywhere. And this case is messy enough without a horde of disgruntled men descending on my station house.
For me last night. I've tried a few locks, but no luck.
What's corroded?
Sodium hydroxide.
A very specific guess.
It's not a guess. Sodium hydroxide, or lye, is used in soap making, the favorite activity of this household.
Detective William Murdoch, Toronto Constabulary.
You've no right to be here. No one invited you, no men allowed.
Please, miss, just a few questions.
Get away from these gates before I find a shotgun.
Llewellyn, what are you doing here?
My job.
Wait for me in my salon.
Please, Miss Athena, we were hoping to speak with you directly.
Ask your questions. No, you may not come in.
Have you seen this man approach your property in the past few days?
I don't think so. Who is he?
Muriel Bruce's husband.
And you believe he is her killer? Oh, dear Lord. Then you wonder why we seek refuge behind these walls.
Perhaps he was driven to madness by her mysterious absence.
Llewellyn.
This is a list of names. Can you confirm these women are in this house?
How did you get this?
Will you confirm or not? Their families are desperate for any news.
No, you cannot tell their families.
Someone cared enough to report these women missing.
Muriel Bruce's husband cared enough to kill her. Many of these women would meet a similar fate if they were reunited with their so-called loved ones.
They deserve to know.
Please, please. Perhaps we can reach a compromise. We'll alert the families that their women have been found, but not where they are. If you will in turn tell the women what we are doing and allow each one to choose her own next steps.
I suppose I can live with that.
Yes, fine. Agreed.
All right. Thank you, Miss Athena. Good day.
Llewellyn. I know you're angry, but what I'm doing here is important. It's more important than you or me. It's more important than our hurt.
Why are the police here? Who are they looking for?
Those policemen are investigating poor Muriel's death. They are not permitted within the gates, and they will not try to enter again.
How can you be so sure? It's their world. We're just pretending we're not in it.
Do you like it here?
Yes. But
I've learned a few things about you in your short time here. Which is why I felt this would be most appropriate.
Hestia.
Goddess of the hearth, the home. You are a protector. You will protect us and our home.
Rebecca, it's not what you think. Can't you just trust me?
How can I trust you when you lie to my face and won't tell me why? We're through.
Rebecca.
You heard the young lady's decision. Now prove yourself to be a man and respect it.
What right do you have to tell her I was stepping out on her?
I saw what I saw. You were canoodling that woman in the Queen's Hotel.
Canoodling?
Yes, canoodling.
What you saw was a woman teaching me to read.
Why hide that from Miss James?
Rebecca's gonna be a doctor, for heaven's sakes. How can I tell her I can't even read?
I don't think you give the young lady enough credit.
Who am I kidding? You did me a favor. A heart only breaks worse the longer it's pledged.
Jackson, give me a task. I'm not fond of sitting idly by waiting for others to do their jobs so I can do mine.
You've always sought the truth, sir.
The truth is all that matters.
Hector Coleman, the man who took your sister
I
away
never
from
want to
you.
hear that name again.
He's alive, sir. And he lives in Toronto.
Hestia, I love it. It suits you. Does it?
Athena can see into the heart of a person.
Well, in that spirit, I'd like to make myself useful. I happen to have a soap recipe that's excellent for the complexion.
Oh, wonderful. I'd like to be the first to try it.
Where are the supplies? I'd like to make a test batch first.
In the cellar. But don't go down there. Ask Demeter and she'll get them for you.
I'm the goddess of the household. Surely I can fetch my own supplies.
Really, don't. Really.
Where is Demeter? I should at least invite her to join us.
What are you doing down here?
I was looking for some lye to make soap.
I know what lye is for, and we're all out. Don't come down here again.
So what's all this, me old mucker?
It's a timer, sir, made with an alarm clock. It has a string affixed to the ringer. Once the desired time is reached, the string pulls the cork, releasing an incendiary fluid, which then makes contact with the explosive. Once that happens, the blasting cap is ignited and...
Oh. All right, back to work, everybody. It's just Μέρντοχ experimenting. Back to work.
It's simple enough. Norman Bruce could have made it.
It fits. Especially since I've just learned that TNT was stolen from Mr. Bruce's work site only 3 days ago.
That's the day before Mrs. Bruce was killed.
When did you last see her, Mr. Coleman?
14 years ago. Too long to be holding on, but I guess I always hoped she'd come back.
How did you meet her?
I saw her staring at a poster of Niagara Falls. She said she'd always wanted to go. We started talking.
Then you forced her to move away with you?
No, moving was her idea. Her parents were dead, and she was all alone. She just wanted to get away from the memories. I moved because she asked me to. I even bought tickets to honeymoon in Niagara Falls. The next day, she was gone. So were the tickets.
You never saw her again?
find her? I just want to know what I did wrong.
No point in asking. Can't believe a word she says.
I knew you were up to something. What are you really doing down here?
You're researching chromosomes.
You know how to read that?
This looks like an accessory chromosome, the one that determines that a baby will be male?
You know some science. How refreshing. But that assumption by the male-dominated scientific establishment is wrong.
You've proven that?
Oh, no, not me. Nettie Stevens. She's an American on the brink of publishing her findings. The accessory, or X element chromosome, is, in fact, the female determiner. Women are the default of nature.
Are you trying to manipulate babies?
Not quite. You might actually understand my work. What I'm about to show you is not for everyone. Where's that key? Oh, here it is. You can't tell anyone. Athena wouldn't like it.
Why not?
Because it's not for the faint of heart. I want to effect a change. Real change. I want to eradicate the male sex altogether. And it starts right here.
That's him. That's Norman Bruce.
He was struck in the head with something heavy, likely the cause of death. But how did he come to be inside this house?
And inside a tub of lye. Luckily, it sprang a leak, or we'd have nothing left but flesh soup.
He was obviously killed out of revenge for Muriel's death.
Really? So, they learned that Muriel had died, discovered her husband killed her, lured him here, killed him, and disposed of the body, all in the 24 hours between when Muriel died and I arrived at the front gate.
Who does this all belong to?
It's Demeter's. She told me that she is attempting to eradicate the male species.
One at a time.
You betrayed us. How could you lie to us like that?
A girl's gotta make a living.
Miss Pink,
For what it's worth, I am sorry.
get out.
You don't need the goddesses. Maybe you should just be yourselves. There ought to be strength enough in that.
Ladies, we will be conducting a full search of the estate. Please cooperate.
You can't. I won't allow it.
This is a crime scene, and I'm the police. Whatever authority you think you have means nothing to me.
How did Mr. Bruce come to be in your cupboard?
I would like to know that as well.
Do you deny killing him as a means of eradicating men?
I'm not a killer, I'm a scientist.
Huh? And how do you propose to reach your goal?
I'll try to explain it to you, but don't expect to understand.
I'll endeavor to muddle along.
If 2 chromosomes are needed to make life, oh, do you need me to explain what a chromosome is?
I get the gist.
Right. So 2 chromosomes combine, then a baby forms. I hope to fertilize an egg with 2 female chromosomes, ensuring a female baby. All I need to do
is isolate a chromosome, find a suitable egg, fertilize it, and then reimplant it in the human womb, hoping that a normal gestation ensues.
Well done, Detective. Only female children would be born, eliminating men altogether.
If that were possible, it would take decades, centuries.
Well, yes. Of course.
Well, perhaps you decided to use Mr. Bruce as your own test subject of sorts.
Well, I would need a female research subject, Detective. Besides, if I had killed that man, I wouldn't have opened that door for anyone.
William, I found something interesting on the remaining flesh of Norman Bruce's hands. It's yellow staining, a reaction to trinitrotoluene.
Proving that he handled the TNT.
So we can close the case on the murder of Muriel Bruce.
Sisters, please, remain calm. Our oasis has been invaded, but we will regain it.
Listen to her. Just stay back, please.
Blood.
That doesn't belong in here. That goes in the foyer.
And yet it's here, hidden in your salon. You killed Norman Bruce.
No, I never even met the man.
You're lying. Hector Coleman isn't dead.
What?
Hector Coleman. The man you said forced you to leave me. The man you said had died is alive and well.
I said that for your safety.
Well, he certainly told a different story.
Oh, well, of course he did. Are you going to believe some strange man or your own sister?
Why would I believe my sister? I never got the chance to know her. I have no reason to believe you're capable of the truth.
I saw no reason to hurt you again, but if you insist. I left you because I did not wish to be chained into a life of servitude. I left you because I didn't want you. That's the truth.
Clarissa Watts, you are under arrest for the murder of Norman Bruce. Constables, take her to the cells.
I was right to leave you. You're just another man. You're deluded and oppressive and arrogant, just like all the rest of them!
He arrested his sister.
The murder weapon was in her study.
Was that the entirety of the evidence?
Yes, and now she refuses to speak.
The report is ready, Doctor?
I'm sorry to hear about your sister, Detective.
Yes. Well, life is but cruel sport for whatever maker you are forced to believe in.
Detective Watts, I understand.
Would your sister forsake you for a house of women who have eschewed the world in which you live?
My sister was a nun.
Yes, my findings. The statue of Athena was the murder weapon. Mr. Bruce was struck across the left temple 4 days ago and died almost immediately.
Did you say 4 days ago? Are you sure?
Quite.
Well, then Norman Bruce died the day before his wife Muriel Bruce did. There was no time to set a bomb. He could not have been his wife's killer.
Then how did she come to have the TNT?
Perhaps Mrs. Bruce stole it from her husband when she visited him.
We found no yellow staining on her. She can't have handled the TNT herself.
She must have asked her husband to steal the TNT, which would explain the staining on his hands and the use of his suitcase.
So Muriel appears out of nowhere. She asks Norman for TNT. A day or two later, he delivers the stolen goods to her in his suitcase at the estate.
No, she never would have allowed that. He must have followed her there after the exchange.
He knocks.
Whoever answered the door,
Perhaps Mrs. Bruce herself.
struck him in the head with the statue.
Which was, by all accounts, normally just beside the door.
The killer then dragged the body down to the cellar.
And put him in lie, thinking that would be the end of it.
Which means Muriel Bruce was knowingly in possession of explosives and on her way somewhere with a bomb. Where could she have been going from here?
In that direction, it's all houses. That way is a row of shops. And this right here is the new apartment building. They're just putting up the ribbon for the grand opening out front.
So, no obvious target then.
Not unless she missed the pub that used to stand here, the Rose and something?
Not the Rosie May.
Yes, that's the one.
That was Artemis's father's pub. Her brother tore it down to develop the land. That's why she moved in with Athena in the first place.
So the apartment building was the intended target. Muriel Bruce had reached her destination.
Only the bomb went off too soon.
And it was Artemis's plot to wreak revenge on her brother.
Your sister was telling the truth. She didn't kill anyone.
Yes, I read about it in the papers. Who could miss it? Toronto's first apartment building. My brother is making a fortune at the expense of our family legacy. How nice for him.
So you admit to the plot, then?
Muriel was a loyal friend, may she rest in peace, but I had nothing to do with what she did.
Please take off your gloves. This is proof that you handled the TNT, that you made the bomb that killed Muriel Bruce, and you will be charged with her murder.
No. Never. I don't know why the bomb went off so early. Please.
So your plan was to disrupt your brother's opening ceremony? Or damage the building beyond repair?
I just wanted my brother to suffer.
So you had Muriel Bruce steal the explosives?
She said that she had a plan. I didn't know it involved that brute Norman.
You followed Mrs. Bruce to the estate.
I opened the door and there he was. Threatening to go to the police unless Muriel left with him.
You hit him over the head with the statue and placed his body in a tub of lye.
I was going to make a special batch of shaving soap for men. Muriel would have thought that a great joke.
But your plan failed when the tub leaked.
I was waiting for the next delivery of lye when Miss Pink showed up.
So you slipped the key into her room.
So you set up Athena, the woman who took you in.
Athena doesn't care what goes on outside those gates. Too many women are suffering at the hands of men. Muriel would tell me about them every day. We needed to act, not hide in an ivory tower. We needed to start a war.
With your friend Muriel as the first casualty.
Reproductive manipulation. This Demeter is attempting to fertilize the egg outside of the womb?
I don't know how successfully. You could ask her, though. She'd be thrilled to discuss her work with someone who understands it.
Perhaps I will.
Detective Watts.
Miss Pink. Dr. Ogden?
I know all too well how family can disappoint. You didn't choose her for a sister. But in fairness, she didn't choose you, either.
Your face is symmetrical. But that hat.
I offended him, I think.
I think that was his attempt at a compliment.
Miss James?
Inspector!
Oh. Miss James, I feel the need to right a great wrong. Mr. Desmond wasn't stepping out on you. He was taking reading lessons.
Are you telling me that Nate can't read? I'm so happy you told me.
I knew you would be.
I had been feeling so badly, but now, such relief. I mean, I couldn't possibly be with an illiterate.
But Miss James...
I'm indebted to you, Inspector.
You can't mean that, surely.
I'm sorry, Rebecca. I couldn't hold it in any longer.
I almost burst myself. Nate told me the truth.
And now I got the prettiest tutor in all of Toronto.
We're sorry. We couldn't resist, Inspector.
I suppose I deserve that. Teach me to meddle.
Thank you, actually. It's nice knowing that there's someone looking out for me.
Well, I'll leave you to it. Whatever it is.
Clarissa.
You'll be gratified to know that some of the women have spoken to their families. I was wrong to encourage them not to.
Thank you for that.
I'll be moving the household across the ocean to one of Lady Greenwood's other estates. I won't tell you where. I won't see you again.
No, seems the best thing. I believe I can understand why you left, but I can't forgive you. I was only 12 years old.
I didn't expect you could.
Thought you might want this. Belonged to Muriel.
Goodbye, Llewellyn.
Goodbye, Clarissa. Sir? Truth is absolute, unyielding, and eternal, Jackson. It is our one constant in a turbulent universe.
Yes, it is, sir. Here. Thought you could use this.
Indeed I could.